All right, welcome everybody. My name is Ann Conkey. I'm from the University of Detroit Mercy, and Yair and I co-chair the Community of Practice, which you probably know, but I want to welcome everyone. This is a terrific turnout for a July event. We have two schools that are going to present today, as well as we're going to have an informational update from the Program Management Office, Dee Dee Patterson. And then after the two schools go, the first school is going to be Bismarck State College. The second school is Florida Memorial University. We also have Vinny Nestler and Kay Ogilvie, who are going to give us an update on the evidencing competency work group. So what I'm asking all the presenters is to take about 10 minutes to discuss what you want to discuss. And then after we get through all of the presentations, we have breakout rooms so that if anybody would like to talk individually with the presenters, you're more than welcome to go into the breakout rooms. I will also come back after all the presenters and show the next month. We have another event in August. I'll show you those schools, and then Yair is going to do some wrap up and provide the details on the breakout room. So what I'd like to do now is turn it over to Dee Dee Patterson from the Program Management Office.
Hello, everyone. So we just have a couple of announcements. So we sent in an email to schools who are eligible to attend a designation ceremony and be designated. We just need you to confirm that you're going to be there in September at NCEC on, we asked you guys to confirm by July 21st. We've only heard from 3 schools. So if you received an email from us, just make sure you confirm that you're going to the NCEC designation ceremony in September, and do it by July 21st. The second announcement, so we want to make sure POC information is updated in the tool. I know around this time, there's a lot of turnover with, the school year ending. So just make sure that your POC information is updated, because we'll be sending out information to the schools, and we just want to make sure that the tool has the most updated information. So that was all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Dee Dee. Okay, our next presenter is going to be Nicklos C. Nicklos C. I hope I'm not wrecking your name. And you're from Bismarck State College, and I'm assuming you're going to want to share a screen, correct?
Correct.
All right, here, I'll stop the share.
Okay.
And you should be able to go ahead and share your presentation.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Ann. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick C. I am one of the cybersecurity instructors at Bismarck State College. We are Bismarck, North Dakota, so capital of the state, kind of right in the middle of the state. So we're centrally located. We've got a pretty good location because everyone kind of seems drawn to the middle of the state for some reason. So our current program of study is in Associate in Applied Science in Cybersecurity and Computer Networks. We added the Computer Networks part in there because we wanted students to understand that it's not just cybersecurity, that you have to have that IT foundation, and pretty much everything in cyber relies on a network. So we're trying to build them up from the networking to the operating systems to that cybersecurity concept. As far as the degree plan, I'll show in a second for comparison purposes, but we're on the protect and defend side of things. We're not a programming heavy degree plan. Our students frequently wash out of a computer science programming degree plan, and they'll come to us because they still want to do something in computers. They still want to have make some sort of impact in the computing world, and doing the IT administration, doing the cybersecurity from the administrator perspective. That seems to work out pretty well for them. We do have a NetLab environment that we make heavy use of if anyone needs to partner partner on that, just let me know and we can get something going there. All of our classes, even before COVID hit, we were doing them online, on campus, hybrid / blended, whatever terminology your campus might use. Frequently, we will have a live class going on during, say, the 9 o'clock hour, and video cameras and students connecting in through Zoom, Teams, whatever the software is for that class. And they're asking questions, interacting as though they're just part of the class. What we find is that many of our students that choose the online environment, the online delivery, they tend to be the non-traditional age students. Even for an associate degree, we have a fair number of 18 to 22-year-old students, but we have far more 24 to 44-year-old students, it seems. And if they're working, it makes it really tough to get away during the daytime to attend a class. All right, just so that you can see what our degree plan looks like, I put it up here. It's a 4-semester program, general education classes required. Basically, it's four technical classes each semester, and we have 4 or 5 security classes. We have a bunch of Windows classes, a couple Linux. We have 3 networking classes. There's just a lot of IT to this because we built this program under the assumption that in order to be good at cybersecurity, you should know something about the IT, the networking, the operating systems as well. So we put together kind of an IT program that has cybersecurity added to it as well. And for each of those IT classes, we are putting cybersecurity into it. It's not like the only place that they're going to learn about security is in a security class. They're taking a Windows class, they're learning Windows security as they go. They take a networking class, they learn how to do access control lists and things like that as they go as well. So this is our currently validated program of study, and we're going through the revalidation process right now. The POS, everything was submitted. I believe it is due the end of this week. I think I've got all my paperwork done already, and then we'll do for the remaining redesignation process. We'll probably start this fall. All right, what might be our next one? Even though we are traditionally an associate's level granting institution in our state of North Dakota, generally there's no problem with offering baccalaureate programs as well. So we've had a Bachelor of Applied Science in Cybersecurity and Information Technology, a 4-year program that we've been running students through for the past 3 years or so. And this just takes what they already know from the 2-year side of things, and now we're adding more. We're adding a little bit more programming, more Linux, more firewalls, more detail, more hacking, more of all of that kind of stuff. So I put in the form, I filled out the survey. So once our associates redesignation process is done, the hope is that we can get started on the designation for a bachelor's program. And we've had a fair number of students that have gone through this over the past 3 years. Right now, as a whole, for our cybersecurity program, we have about 200 students, which isn't a huge number, but considering just 10 years ago, we were lucky if we had 50 students. This is doing okay now. All right, so teaching interests, like I said, we mix up how we teach our classes to try to meet what students are looking for. Do they want day classes? Yeah, frequently not these days because they're working. Well, do they want a night class? Some of them do, some of them don't. So on campus, online, we just mix it up. Just about every class has at least 2 modes of delivery that we try to offer just to meet the students where they're at. We also have 16-week and 8-week semesters. The 8-week classes don't work for everything. We're not going to take a really deep networking class that students struggle to understand everything in 16 weeks and now try to compress it into 8. But that ethical hacking class where they've built their way up to learning a lot of that material, yeah, we can condense that into 8 weeks and make that viable. So we have a number of different delivery methods that we use and time frames. Just again, it's trying to meet the students. The students have options. They can attend classes anywhere on earth. Why would they come to BSC unless we're offering them something in some way that works for them and their schedule? We're also seeing that many of those adult learners, the non-traditional age college students, they want some classes, but they aren't all that interested in a degree. They might like a credential to help them maybe get that next promotion or something like that. So we've been putting together 5 to 6 class certificate opportunities. We're just trying to basically take our associate's and our bachelor's degree programs and carving them up into certificates of completion along the way. So when students get that computer networking certificate and maybe the offensive defensive security certificate, they've taken 10, 12 classes, we figure, hey, you know what? You're only about 4 classes away from that associate's degree. Maybe you want to consider that. And oh, you got that associate's degree. Maybe you want to consider the secure programming, security and hacking, modern computing certificates. Oh, by the way, now you've just completed your bachelor's degree, and now we are giving them credentials that have some meaning, classes that they've learned something in, and hopefully they can use it to improve their career prospects. All right. As far as specialties, subject matter expertise, we're kind of a ragtag group right now. We are a bunch of IT people who know some cybersecurity. We know networking, we know operating systems, we know the traditional stuff. We know a little bit on the hacking side as well. And so our administration decided we don't have enough to do to keep up with everything going on in that cybersecurity and IT world. So it's time for us to set up a security operations center. And our plan is to go live with that in 2024. Administration has its view of what it wants things to be. We're still playing around with what the practicalities are. So we don't know if it's going to be a live working SOC or whether we're just going to have a SOC experience where we will partner with a cybersecurity company and they'll give us some cleaned up log data and allow us to respond to threats and things like that on a recorded basis. And again, with that, we realize that not everybody's going to want a degree in this area. So, hey, let's create some certificates of completion, some credentials that they can put on the resume that are transcripted, and, you know, digital forensics, incident response, security operations, governance, software analysis. You know, just put a few of those together with some classes, and that will help us justify the Security Operations Center, help students go through it, get that experience doing work roles that are related to it, whether it's a live and working one or whether it's an academic exercise. All right, as far as grants go, we're a small school. We don't really have the personnel to be able to apply for a lot of grants time-wise and whatnot. It would be great if we would, but usually with these grants, they don't just give you the money. There's, you know, stipulations. You have to perform this, that, and the other thing. And frankly, our faculty are pretty tapped out right now. What we do is we do offer a Gen Cyber middle school camp. Last summer was our first summer. We saw just under 80 middle school kids. We had a few no-shows at the end. This year, we get going in about 2 weeks. We'll have our next 80 middle school camp. And then we've got the okay for next year, our gluttons for punishment. We're going to go up to 100 on that one. Why middle schoolers? What we found in our area, at least, is that middle schoolers haven't necessarily decided what they want to do or what they don't want to do yet. Maybe that's the big thing, is they haven't ruled out many things about their future career aspects. Whereas the high schools locally, those high school students, typically they've figured out maybe not exactly what they want to do, but they know what they don't want to do. So we reach fewer potential new students going to the high school route. And with middle school, we figure we're kind of building for a future that's about 4 to 6 years down the road. All right. As far as working with other CAEs, we are working with North Dakota State University. That's in Fargo in North Dakota here, working as a sub-award on a Viceroy grant. Basically, it will allow, without going into the details, we'll provide our NetLab environment and expertise on maintaining it and whatnot as part of this grant to reach a number of different target audiences. And with that North Dakota State University sub-award, we are also working with Minot State, which is in North Dakota as well. And then the City University of Seattle. We're all part of this grant operation here. All right, what else would I like to tell everyone? Somehow we got mixed up in a cybersecurity and critical infrastructure conference that's hosted on our campus. We have a very good group of cybersecurity professionals in the state IT department and with the National Guard, which is literally just down the road from our school. They came together and said, we want to host a conference. They liked having it on our campus. Picture there is just a view of the conference room. The windows don't do it justice, but you're looking out over the Missouri River. It's a pretty scenic view. We bring in speakers from all the cybersecurity companies, all the major players, at least in the region, like Dakota State, Black Hills Information Security. We've got partnerships with Palo Alto Networks and places like that. We bring them in to do a full-blown professional cybersecurity conference. It's not on par with the Black Hat DEF CON or anything like that, but we do bring in people who have presented at those conferences, and they'll do some demos and do some explaining and tell us what they're seeing in what they're doing on either the blue team or the red team side of things. Our students do play a large part. They help facilitate sessions, troubleshoot any AV issues. We generally see in any given year a couple hundred attendees, number of speakers, number of students. Just a good experience for all. If you're interested, hit me up and I'll get you the link to register. We could probably work something out as an instructor, and maybe if you want to present, we can work something out on that too. Yeah, that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. What a great presentation. I am actually toying with the idea of creating a SOC at Detroit Mercy. So if you don't mind, Nicklos, it might be a few months down the road, but I would love to connect with you just to get your expertise and some guidance, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sounds great.
Great, thank you. Okay, our next presenter is supposed to be Dr. Ben Wongsaroj. I am not seeing.
He's not coming. We actually checked the trace of email and he's not able to make it. So we apologize. Let's move to.
People might not mind that, being it's in the middle of July. Okay, right. So we have a next presentation. We have an update from the Evidencing Competency Work Group. Dr. Vinnie Nestler and Kay Olgivie. Kay, do you want to share your screen? Oh, Vinnie's here. Here we go.
Yeah, I made it in. I hacked my way in through all the various firewalls to get here.
Excellent.
Yeah, he hacked my account to get in.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Can I share? Am I share
Yes.
screen enabled? Great.
Yes,
Thanks.
you can.
All right.
I was gonna say, if you have any problem, I can share your 2-pager if you want.
No, I think I got it. Who know? You know, who knows? All right. Is that looking all right?
That is. Well, sure. Yes, we can see it. It's a PowerPoint, not your 2-pager.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. I decided to go with PowerPoint just because it's a little easier to draw the attention to what I want. But is the 2-pager shared with everybody?
No.
No, all right.
But we.
That's fine. We can email it, or I could drop it in the chat. So.
Oh, good idea.
Okay. With that, I guess I'll start yapping. Good afternoon, right? So it's afternoon for you folks. I'm in California, so it's still morning. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Vincent Nestler. I'm a professor at Cal State San Bernardino. I'm as well as the director for the Cybersecurity Center there. I'm also the lead for Working Group 1 that's been working on competencies for the last we're now in, I think, our third year, but we had been working on this with Lynn Clark, a couple of years before that. And so I'm joined by the wonderful Kay Olgivie, who is one of our newly minted trained trainers on competency. So we're just going to talk to you a little bit about, kind of ease you all in as to what our interest is in competency, how the CAE community sees competency as it relates to what we do in the classroom. And we'll probably have a little bit of time for a Q&A. This is not an extensive discussion. It's just kind of sensitizing you to it. I think we're going to have a breakout room if anybody wants to talk to us individually and kind of, pick our brains on stuff. But so with that, I'll begin. So why are we talking about competency? So the NSA, who obviously gives us our designation and who interacts with other agencies, had gotten a little bit of feedback from people who hire out of the CAE schools saying, your students, when I hire from your schools, they're really knowledgeable, but they're not really competent. And by that meaning they know stuff, but they haven't been trained to actually do specific tasks. And it takes a significant amount of time to get them spun up to do the things they need to do in the various work roles that they get hired under. And the competency working group has been working towards trying to effort out how we can address that. And the breakdown, the bottom line of it is, we think there's a disconnect between the vocabulary of what is used in employment and what's used in education, how we look at things and build our students and what the employment's expecting. And to try and correct that without becoming a vocational institution, which this competency effort has zero relation to that, we're not doing that. Or turning into a training institution, we're not doing that. I know we're all educators. Our effort is to say, okay, how do we ease the transition from when you graduate that you're ready to hit the ground running with employment? And so what we did was we said, okay, well, let's come up with a definition of what we actually mean by competency. As all good researchers do, make sure you have common language and good definitions. So we came up with our definition of competency that works for us as educators and works for employers who are hiring. And then, well, if our definition of competency is correct, what are the elements of a competency experience? So our definition of competency is the following: a very simple one sentence definition. Competency is the ability for students to complete a task or tasks in the context of a work role. I'm making sure I don't go down a road to explain too much because we're limited on time. But the definition captures all the stuff that we need to make sure the students get at the end, to include even just being sensitized to work roles. What do we mean by work roles? In general, we're talking about the work roles identified in the NICE framework and more recently, the DCWF. I don't know if you all have hands that you can put up. How many of you are familiar with the NICE workforce framework? Do you have the little hand icon or?
The hands are.
Hard to poll people. All right, so I got an applause. I got a thumbs up, got a couple of thumbs, an applause. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with it, but if you're not, it's worth giving it a look. And the DCWF is kind of, I don't know how to say this right. Well, the DCWF is a newer version. It's taken a lot of what is already in the NICE framework, almost verbatim, and they've added to it. So there's 52 work roles in the NICE framework. There's 71 work roles in the DCWF. I'm about that. So this is our definition. These are the elements of competency. The elements of competency are essentially the elements of a good learning objective. Those of you who have done, have some background in education, you'll recognize this as Mager's model for the most part. And we've broken it down to A, B, C, D, E to make it easy for folks to remember. A is who's doing it, the actor. B is what the behavior is. Now, when we talk about B and behavior, B as a behavior comes directly from the workforce framework, whatever the tasks are. The conditions are what give flavor and actually get the student in the mindset of, oh, I'm not just doing an exercise or homework. I am doing something that I would be doing if I were a system administrator, a cyber defense analyst, a cyber project manager, or any of those things that are work roles they might wind up getting working. D is the degree. This is the quantitative measure of what they do, how correct, how complete, and how long it takes them. And then we have E for employability. That's kind of our qualitative measure or qualitative aspect that captures all the things that, in fact, research is showing, and our discussions with employers is what they're looking for, like knows how to communicate, works well with others, can work in a team, things like that. Oh, that's right. I just saw my name change. Everybody was probably seeing Laughing Tiger. That's my other stage name. Sorry. Another story. All right. So that's A, B, C, D. So really, it's if you whatever you're teaching the classroom objectives, most of that stuff is already done. And what we've done with the work group is always make sure we keep it simple, easy to explain, easy to understand, easy to talk to other people about without getting into too much detail. And even still, there's still sometimes is a little bit of question. So what I want to show you, and don't worry about the details here, but just as kind of an arc of how we're looking at the life cycle of a student in the curriculum as this works. If people who are hiring according to certain work roles that are listed and defined and explained in, let's say, the NICE workforce framework and the DCWF, and other things, maybe IBM has their thing, and Northrop Grumman, they may have other taxonomies that they work with. Whatever it is, ultimately, there's a description of a task that students have to be able to do that they're going to get paid for. Whatever that task is where the gold is. If you take those tasks and we can create competencies around that, most of you, just to be clear, most of you are already doing this, right? When you look at this in detail, you're like, oh, I'm doing that. Maybe I'm not saying, hey, this is what a system administrator does, but it's exactly what a system administrator does in maybe one of your exercises. Or when they're participating in competitions, you're doing several different tasks that you would do in a work role. That's perfect. So many of you are already doing this, very well. It's just a matter of looking at how to fit this in anyway. So you have the tasks, you have a competency experience. That competency experience, whatever it is, should result in the students, and this is maybe where we're also going to spend some time with this, hopefully in the future, is get the students to learn how to talk about it, whatever experience they did that's of value, in a way that, and to be able to put it in the resume so they can actually get that in the first place. So we're just looking to make sure that there's tasks that are that are tasks that are real world exercises that you would do, you know, in any particular work role they might get in cyber, that they do it, that they're able to extract and summarize it and put it in a resume for a job that they're applying for, and then to be able to talk about it. How many of you are familiar with the STAR method? This is something I only recently found out about, you know, a few months ago. And I was like, oh, why didn't I know about this before? Right. And so the STAR method is basically Amazon, CISA, lots of companies, when they interview people, they expect people to be able to explain their experience in a particular area that they're interviewing for based on this method, right? So STAR method is situation, task, action, result. So situation, I was working with a team of 3 people. We were tasked with having to build a network within 2 weeks. What we did was we divided it. I did the networking, person did it. The result was we got everything up except the web server. The web server we couldn't get up because we had a problem with blah, blah, blah. But in the end of the day, we were able to pass our test, whatever. Being able to put that in that structure helps people take complex, large amounts of information and be polished in what they're explaining. And that alone can help them. If they don't have that and they have everything before it, they might go to an interview and sound like they don't know what they're talking about. And that might be the thing that's making them not get the jobs that they should get, right? So even just those pieces. So we're coming up with kind of a comprehensive, easy, light lift, but a large return on the investment type of way to introduce competencies into the curriculum. So that's kind of, I don't know if I went over 10 minutes, but I tried to get it all in. I'll say one more thing and then I'll see if Kay would like to chime in. We've had a group of about 20 professors do a train the trainer program. They're finishing up right now. In fact, we're meeting with them again in a few weeks just to finish up. In October, middle of October, when things are just starting to get cold in places like South Dakota, and Palm Desert is just starting to get nice. We're having this in Palm Desert. It's a very nice facility. And we'll have a two-day workshop on, you know, here's what a competency statement looks like. We're going to actually do a competency exercise where we'll go through it and then say, oh, how is that different from any other exercise we normally do? What's the value of doing it? We'll practice actually doing things like, okay, you did the competency, let's interview you. If you're going for a job interview that's similar to the competency you just did. Lots of handouts and learning how to also talk to other professors, say, hey, here's how we can do this or how we can help you introduce some of this in the classroom. Kay, anything that you want to jump in on?
You've done such a great job. I mean, there's not much to say. I participated in the Train the Trainer session in May in Palm Desert, and it's a great session, and I'm really glad that I did it. And when I came home, I introduced this concept in the NICE framework to one of my classes, to one of my Jumpstart or my high school, my 12th graders, and they were really interested in the framework. They'd never seen the framework before. And we also talked about assignments that we have in the classroom. And we talked about what competency this task was. I mean, what skill sets it built. And I think that there was a disconnect between what we're teaching the students and what they're getting out of the assignments. They really couldn't articulate the skills, what they actually learned. So I think that this is going to be a great thing to introduce to our students and build our cyber programs and present our to the employers in our communities students that can articulate what we're teaching them. That's all I have to add.
No, which is great. Shall we open up the floor to any kind of questions or comments?
We're gonna create a breakout room for you.
Okay.
for Q and
Okay.
A.
I will be quiet and yield back to
Okay.
the Honorable Ann Conkey.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a really great dive into the competency and competency statements. And okay, so if you could stop sharing, I'm going to share my screen.
Yep.
All right,
Stop
do
sharing.
that.
There you go.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that, can everybody see my screen okay? Can see the next, okay. I just wanted to mention that the next meeting is August 10th, and we are going to have 3 presentations, as you can see there. Joan Pecca from Carnegie Mellon University, Dave Shippers from Walsh College, and Christopher Howery from Delta College. And that's the registration link for future presentations, if you would like to do that. Now, also, I want to make a point of just remind everybody that these sessions are recorded and they are put out onto the YouTube channel so that you can see these afterward. And we do have some important links before you go into your breakout rooms. That's the link right there for the YouTube channel. Also, we ask that you complete a brief survey after we're done. We are very, very much interested in your feedback and your comments. So please do complete that if you get a chance. And then we also want to let you know that we do have a lot going on in the community of practice for cyber defense. There is a page available, a web page right off of the caecommunity.org site. So if you're new, you need to register for that site. You can click on that link and it'll take you actually right over to the community of practice in cyber defense that lists all the different initiatives. We have a steering committee, all the different people that are involved right now. And by all means, if you're not involved and you want to join any of these initiatives, please reach out to either Yair or myself. We would very much like to have you join. Okay, I think that is it for now. Yair, you want to mention the breakouts? You're muted. You're muted.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. And yes, we will follow up with an email. It will come from my email address. So be on the lookout. This is not a phishing email. It's an email asking you to provide us feedback. With that said, let me